standing. But there's a lesson that you need to know, that if you're standing where you are eventually going to fall into a sin through desire. Because eventually we're all human. If you don't work on yourself, if you don't constantly focus on trying to prevent yourself falling from sin, if you don't constantly try to prevent this issue, you're eventually going to fall into sin. So if you're amad, if you're standing where you are in the spiritual stand, you're eventually going to be in the category of chataim. Unfortunately, you're going to fall into sin because it's only natural based on your desires, based on your yetzer hara. So if you want to avoid that, you can't be amad, you can't be standing spirituality. You always have to be going, and you always have to be fighting. You always have to be going, getting better, getting stronger, you always have to improve yourself in different areas of your life. If you don't improve yourself, then you're going to end up falling. And that's what Amad is. If you feel like you're okay and you're just standing where you are, there's only a matter of time where you're going to fall based on your desire. And that's why you cannot stand, otherwise you'll fall into a chait, you fall into a sin of desire. And finally, you can't sit in Maishav Leitzim. What's sitting? Sitting is something that you're going and you're wasting time. Lazy people, they just sit and they waste their time. That's what they do. They kill time, they waste time. They just sit around. And you want to know how you fall into this category? If you constantly are going and you're chilling, you're hanging out and you're sitting and you're relaxing and all you're doing is you're just wasting time all day. This is the category of yashav. This is the category of sitting, and we'll clarify that. The Mishnah in Perkei Avos, the Kav Yashar brings down that it brings down the third parak, the second Mishnah. Two people that are sitting and learning and sitting together, and they're not learning Torah. It's considered a Moishav Leitzim, a gathering of scoffers. The same terminology that we use in the first parak of the first pasuk and the first parak in Tehillim of Moishav Leitzim Lo Yashav. You're not allowed to sit in Leitzim. Again, they use the same terminology if you have two people. These two people are sitting and they are, whatever they're doing. But if there's no Torah between them, they're considered a Moishav Leitzim. They're a gathering of scoffers. So ask Rabbi Twersky, why? It doesn't say that they're speaking Lashon Hara. It doesn't say that they're speaking something derogatory. It just says that they're not learning Torah. What's the problem? Two people hanging out, relaxing, is that an issue? So what? So they're not engaging in learning Torah. Okay, fine, we know the obligation. But is that considered a Moishav Leitzim, such a derogatory term? So, and again, we know that we have to engage in business. We have to engage in commerce. Again, even rest. We have to relax. We have to, there's a certain level of entertainment that a human being needs. Obviously, kosher entertainment. It brings, the optimal health, the, functioning that will able to help us serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So what's the issue of two people sitting and they're not learning Torah? Like what? Okay, so maybe they're dealing with business. Maybe they're dealing with community affairs. Maybe they're just relaxing to be able to learn night seder. Maybe they're able to relax to be able to learn better the next day, or they're able to daven better the next day. Why is it so bad that if two people are sitting together and not learning Torah, it's considered a Moishav Leitzim? So explains Rabbi Twersky, and we'll soon see the source of this, which is Rabbeinu Yonah, that the issue is not when people are sitting and not learning Torah. Of course, you're allowed to go and you're allowed to work. Of course, you're allowed to go and you're allowed to have kosher entertainment. We need to, rejuvenate. We need to have a little bit of self-care. We need to be able to infuse our body with a little bit of relaxation, whatever, to everybody into their own, whatever brings them that self-care that they particularly need. And again, do this with the right mindset and don't overdo this. Some people only do self-care; they don't do anything else productive. But obviously, with the right, balance, you do your right self-care. What's wrong? What's wrong with that? And explains Rabbi Twersky, really, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. If you're doing business, there's nothing wrong with that. That's considered even L'Shem Shemayim, right? If you're relaxing so that you'll be able to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu better, that's L'Shem Shemayim as well. So what's the issue of two people and sitting and not learning Torah? The issue is that if two people are sitting and their actions are aimless, meaning that they don't have a purpose to whatever it is that they're doing. They're not sitting there that they're relaxing, that they're able to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu better. They're not sitting and they're working so they're able to support their family. They are just being. They're just there. They're just that heroin addict that's just there. They're just existing. So that's a big problem. And when someone is in that category, they're just doing things for no reason whatsoever. Their actions are aimless. That is considered a Moishav Leitzim. That is considered a gathering of scoffers, and it's a really, really big bad thing. Let's call it. We'll soon see why. And the reason for that is, Rabbeinu Yonah explains, there's two types of leitzim, there's two types of scoffers. There is the first type, which is someone that ridicules, that mocks, that rejects any spiritual goals, that makes fun of all these things. Such a person, says Rabbeinu Yonah, there's very little hope for this person. But there's another type of scoffer, there's another type of leitz, and that's someone who misuses his time, misuses her time, wastes their life. He thinks, okay, I'm not doing anything bad. What's a big deal? And this person does not value Torah. This is a second category of a leitz. And this is what the Mishnah is saying, that you have to be careful that two people are sitting and learning Torah, meaning that they're not learning Torah, there's no purpose to whatever they're doing. If you're working so you can support your family, so you can send them to yeshivas, again, that's considered Torah to a certain extent, right? If you're sitting and you're relaxing to whatever reason, but so you could serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu better, again, that's not nothing. There's a reason for that. But if you're sitting and you're doing and you're wasting your time and it's aimless and it's nothing, it's for no purpose whatsoever, that's a Moshav Leitzim. That's wasting your time. And this is something we have to be very careful about, because this is something that you have people that they go and they hang out with their friends. What do you speak about when you hang out with your friends? What do you talk about? What do you deal with? What's the interactions? And says the Kav Yashar, this is very common circumstances in our days, and he's saying, almost 300 years ago, people sit with their friends, with their companions, and discuss, like nonsense stuff. If you're discussing words of Torah and words of Yirah Shamayim and character development, whatever it is, something that improve you, okay, then that's a good chill session, let's call it. But if you're sitting over there and you're talking about nothing and you're wasting your time and there's no purpose for it, it's not even for you to go and should be able to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this is a very derogatory, that is a Moshav Leitzim. And especially once you deal, says the Kav Yashar, when you're dealing with a company of scoffers and they're talking about nothing, the whole purpose is nothing, eventually it's going to go into mockery, and eventually it's going to go into derogatory speech, and eventually what's going to end up happening, it's going to bring harmful forces. The Kav Yashar is very Kabbalistic. It brings very harmful, we'll soon see some stories that it brings down, very harmful forces from the Tzad Tumah that will inflict damage on the person's